Do you treat others better than you treat yourself? In this episode, we are going to discuss self-loyalty. Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, Season 4, where we are focusing on mastery. The last 3 seasons, I gave you the information. Now, we're focusing on integrating it into our lives and embodying it. If you are ready to master your thoughts, emotions, and patterns to feel whole, fulfilled, and really grounded in who you are without dimming your shine so you can live the abundant life that you truly desire, then you are in the right place. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? What I am manifesting is self-loyalty. So I had a situation that has been nagging at me for the last few days, and I had to really sit with this and ask myself, why is this bothering me? And one of the things that came up when I sat with this is that sometimes I have a tendency to treat others better than I treat myself. And that feels wrong, to be quite honest. It feels wrong. And I think that the reason why it feels wrong is because I've been doing so much inner work and loving on my inner child and really grounding into my self-worth, and that's why it's been nagging at me. So I'll definitely tell you the story, but before I dive into the story, I believe the process is we first learn, then we integrate, then we embody. So I learned about the fawn trauma response. I just did a podcast episode on the fawn trauma response. If you didn't check it out, definitely go check it out. It's a really powerful thing to have in your awareness. I learned about this from Nicole Lewis-Keeber, who is my business therapist, in her Do No Harm program, which I took almost 2 years ago. And when I learned about it then, it didn't click to me how this actually shows up in my life. I never considered myself a people pleaser because I think that there are different levels of people pleasing. So I wasn't really aware of how I am a people pleaser. So first you learn, so I learned about the fawn trauma response, and then it clicked in my brain recently how this shows up in my actual life. And so that's the integration period where you're noticing it, you have it in your consciousness, you're aware of it. And you know, I'm huge on self-awareness, and also if you didn't check out that podcast episode, definitely check it out because the statistics are insane. Only 10 to 15% of people are actually self-aware because we have internal self-awareness where we're aware of what's going on inside of us, which not everybody is. If you are not aware of your shadows, if you're not aware of your trauma adaptations, if you're not aware that you're a people pleaser, you don't have, complete self-awareness. And then we have external self-awareness where you're aware of how people perceive you. And that's powerful, really asking questions. And sometimes we show up in a way where we think we're doing good and we think that we're being compassionate, but we're actually having an empathy miss. I talk a lot about empathy misses because, I love me some Brene Brown. So having that internal self-awareness and having external self-awareness, which is what creates total self-awareness. So when you're in that integration phase, you are integrating the things that you've learned into your life. It's in your awareness now when you're repeating certain patterns, and your trauma adaptations are in your awareness. And then the next phase is embodying it, where these are not even patterns anymore. It's not a thing, You're really grounded into who you are, your values, your confidence. And grounded confidence is like my goal right now. Don't puff up, don't shrink, really be grounded in who you are, what you need, what you desire, and be unapologetic about that. I think I've been saying I'm unapologetic about my needs and desires for years, but truly integrating it and embodying it. I've been saying it, but it's you have to integrate it and embody it, really owning who you are, what you need, and what you desire. So here's the story that's been nagging at me. I had a friend that was having a housewarming / wine and charcuterie event, and it's a couple, and I wanted to buy them a really nice bottle of wine because I know that they're fancy. They're fancy, and I know that, they enjoy really nice wine. So I'm like, I don't want to show up with a cheap bottle of wine. So I purchased a really nice bottle of wine, one that I knew the husband would love. I purchased some flowers in a really gorgeous vase, whatever, for the woman. And of course, he was like, oh, this is one of my favorites, because, I know good wine. And then for some reason, the last 3 days or so, it has been bugging me because this bottle of wine was more expensive than any bottle of wine I've purchased for myself. And for some reason, that has been nagging me. Don't get me wrong, I know fine wine, and I have had some fine wine in my lifetime, but usually it is on a date. Usually, someone purchased a nice bottle for me. But when I purchase wine for myself, I don't have a problem going to like Trader Joe's and getting, their $3.99 wine or whatever. And don't get me wrong. So if I'm celebrating something, I will purchase myself a nice bottle of Italian wine, but not in a price range of this bottle that I purchased for them. And I love me some Italian wine. If you know me, I love Italian food and Italian wine. So this is a huge realization, and for some reason that has really been bugging me the last few days. Like, why would I buy a bottle of wine for someone else way above the price range of a bottle of wine I'll buy for myself? And I really had to sit with that the last couple of days, and I think that this is a pattern that we tend to have. And I believe that it comes from the fawn trauma response. We want people to think highly of us, so we will do things for others that we will not do for ourselves. And so the reason why this bothered me so much is because if you zoom out and look in, it's more important for them to think highly of me rather than me thinking highly of myself and buying myself a really nice bottle of wine. So like, what is that really saying to myself? And I'm probably making this deeper than it has to be, but I really feel this is a pattern. We're taught to treat others how we want to be treated, and so we'll treat others nicely, but how nice are we to ourselves? We'll treat others with generosity and care and love, and then we criticize and judge ourselves. We scrutinize our own behavior. Oh my God, I just got chills. This is huge. And obviously the story itself, like wine, it's not a big deal, but big picture, we treat others better than we treat ourselves usually. And that's not okay. If we can be loving and encouraging and supportive and speak life into others, but then we judge ourselves, and then we scrutinize ourselves, and then we put ourselves down and we say, oh my God, I need to get my life together, and there's different things, like all kind of negative self-talk that we say to ourselves that we would never say to others. And so this has been nagging at me for the last few days, and I know that I treat myself really well, but I think that there is another level of treating myself better, and really paying attention to like how I show up for others and making sure I'm showing up for myself the same. And I think the reason why this is in my consciousness right now is because I've been doing a lot of inner child healing, and I just added the inner child healing sound bath at Bliss Bar Meditation Studio, which has really been holding me accountable to make sure that I am doing that inner child healing. And so when you really start to love and accept yourself, how you betray yourself is more noticeable. If you're not actively loving and accepting and cherishing yourself, you don't notice sometimes how you betray yourself and then treat others way better than how you treat yourself. And having that in your consciousness is extremely powerful, because if we could really love, accept, and nurture ourselves, that allows us to be whole and show up better for the people in our lives and attract better people into our lives. And I've been talking about the whole nurturing thing for the last, few episodes. When I started really loving on my inner child and noticing that I need nurturing and I need support and I need affection, I notice how the people I've attracted in my life aren't nurturing. I've noticed how the people I've attracted in my life aren't really supportive. Like, you have people that are like, yeah, I'm here for you, but they're actually not. So when I started saying, like, I need nurturing, and I started really owning, like, this is what I need, this is a boundary for me, like really paying attention to like my capacity and also other people's capacity to show up for me in the way that I need. And like, hey, I know this is your capacity, but I need this. And if you can't give me this, I'm sorry, but I have to find this, because I'm not going to pass up what I need because you don't have the capacity to do that, because that's betraying myself. So I need to go find someone who can provide what I want or what I need. And so I think the reason why this has been hard for me is because I've never wanted to be selfish. But I think that comes with so much programming. We have so much programming around being selfish or being selfless. And I think we spoke about selflessness a little bit in the last podcast episode with Danielle, the body positivity episode. And they teach women to be selfless. But it's like, do we actually want to be selfless and ignore what we actually need, ignore what we actually desire, and lose ourselves because we're constantly trying to provide for others? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have to own what we want. We have to own what we need, and we have to be aware of our capacity to show up for the people in our lives. And when we don't have the capacity, we have to communicate that. And granted, it's uncomfortable. So this is not an easy thing to communicate, but uncomfortableness is better than resentment. Resentment is toxic in your body. So being uncomfortable saying, hey, I really don't have the capacity to do X, Y, and Z. I would love to, but I really don't have the capacity to, is better than doing something, becoming burnt out, and then, or like overexerting yourself and then becoming resentful. Because then your cup is depleted and you're no good to anyone, yourself or them. And what good is that? So really getting comfortable with being uncomfortable if it is going to avoid resentment. Always choose uncomfortableness over resentment. Uncomfortableness, it's like, okay, it's uncomfortable for me to say this. And when I really started setting boundaries in my life, I always felt bad. I'm like, this is my boundary, but I feel so bad because I want to show up for this person. I want to show up for this client. I want to show up for this friend. I want to show up for my family. However, I'm really being self-loyal, knowing my capacity, knowing what I need, what I desire, knowing how much capacity I have to show up for other people and honoring that. So being willing to be uncomfortable to, one, not overexert myself, not burn myself out, and to not betray myself. So really having that self-loyalty, and that's what's going to keep my cup full. And if my cup stays full, and granted, it's not always full, because sometimes, you have to show up, or sometimes you're willing to show up because the person like really needs you, and it may deplete your cup a little bit, but within reason, to where you're not completely depleted and then you're burnt out, sick, overexerted, and you have no more to give. But like knowing like, okay, I know that I can't give all of this, but like let me try to give a little bit because my cup is full, so I can spare a little bit to give. But just really paying attention to that, paying attention to your cup, paying attention to your capacity, like that is a powerful thing. And I was actually reading something online where someone was saying like they just don't have the energy to show up for people like they used to. We are inundated with information. Information is coming at us tenfold. We have cell phones, we have laptops, we have Apple Watches. Like literally, we're taking in more data. Our brains are operating, they're like 220 miles per hour. So of course we're exhausted. We're not getting the proper sleep. We're not drinking enough water. Our food is shit. There's so much chemicals in our foods because they're genetically modifying everything. And like don't get me started. I'm not going to get on this soapbox, but we're also around so much EMF. We're around so many devices. We have Alexas and Google Homes, and we have laptops everywhere. We have devices in our hands constantly. These things are pulling our energy, and I have done research on it to see the science behind it. It's pulling at our energy. We are exhausted. We are burnt out as a society. Like we are in chronic burnout. So when you don't have the energy to talk on a phone to someone, you don't have the energy to show up for someone, you're pushing yourself to be social and be energetic and bubbly, it's not because you're just tired. We're burnt out as a society. We're not meant to operate at the pace that we're operating, and that's why every single client that comes in and does an energy analysis usually has an overactive root chakra, and I'm like, grounding. We need more grounding because we're moving at such a fast pace. Our bodies are not repairing themselves how they're meant to. Our minds are not getting the rest and the break that it needs. So I totally got off topic. So I'm gonna reel it back in to self-loyalty, okay? In order for you to really be self-loyal, you have to understand your capacity to show up for people. You have to understand what you need for you. Like, what's your bare minimums? What is your bare requirements? You have to know what you need and what you desire. So I don't think that people, the average person, I'm not talking about like myself or like my clients, because I always, every single sound bath, I'm like, what does your body need? What does your heart desire? And so I'm really empowering people to think about these things for themselves, because that's our baseline. That's our baseline. So when you identify what you need, when you identify what you desire, when you identify your values, that is your baseline to know every decision. Is this in alignment with my values, what I need, and what I desire? And I had to make some shifts and adjustments in my life. Like one of my top values used to be connection, but it was actually causing me a lot of pain because the connections in my life weren't what I wanted them to be. So I had to, sometimes you tweak your values, sometimes you tweak your desires, and I still obviously find connection extremely important, but I said, what if I shift that to creative expression, because I consider myself an artist. I'm always creating something. And that actually brought me a lot of joy. To connect back to the artist in me. And I remember talking about it on the podcast episode that I did with Emery about the Unplugged Alpha. One of the things that I talked about on there is like the reason for my hair being purple is to always remind me that I'm an artist first. I came out of the womb wanting to be a star and a celebrity and do music and dance and entertain people. So that's very much part of who I am as a person. Granted, I run a business now and, a sound healing meditation business, but I'm very much so an artist, and I'm getting back into creating, and like I want to host some events with like poetry and just really getting back into creating and writing, and that feels good. That feels good. So where connection was feeling bad, it was making me sad, to be honest. I was just like, okay, let me be self-loyal and figure out what is causing me unhappiness and replace it with something that causes me joy. And sometimes we get so attached to our pain, we get so attached to our patterns, we don't realize that we have the ability to shift them. No one made me have connection as a top value. I wanted connection. And it was a value that I think came from a place of trauma. And so identifying your trauma adaptations, identifying your patterns and habits that come from a place of trauma is powerful, because you have the ability to shift them. And yeah, you may have had them for so long. But it's like making the decision today to shift that pattern. Oh my God, I'm gonna tell you guys a really embarrassing story, because I just want you to really just think about like how this can show up. So I was born in the Bronx, New York. My mom was, single mom raising me. There were times, this is a personal yet powerful story. A little embarrassing, but I think I'm comfortable with like embarrassing myself now, because I've been doing the inner child healing to where like I'm like, whatever, like I can tell you this embarrassing story, and if you judge me, I don't care, because I've worked on fully accepting myself in my past, that I don't care if anyone judges me or my past. So anyway, embarrassing story, here we go. So me growing up in the Bronx, New York, single mom, there were times where like we didn't have toilet paper, and I had to like staying at my grandmother's house. If my mom heard this story, she probably would like freak out. But I remember staying at my grandmother's house, and I had to ask the neighbor for a roll of toilet paper, and it was so ridiculously embarrassing. See, the inner child healing, like I've done healing around this situation, so like I'm comfortable sharing it. So I had to knock on the neighbor's door and ask for toilet paper, and it was the most embarrassing thing like ever. So I think throughout my life, my adult life, I've been like really afraid of embarrassment because of my inner child having those embarrassing moments. And so I've put myself in this box to avoid embarrassment. So like, don't be like too this, or don't be not enough of this, and like stay in this little box to avoid embarrassment. Like, it's insane. But it just goes to show our pattern. So I always share my story, because obviously I can't share anyone else's story, but I share my story to let someone know, like, if you're experiencing this, you're not alone. If you're experiencing this, it's totally normal when you're doing inner child healing, when you're noticing your patterns, when you're noticing your trauma adaptations. Okay, back to the story. So, as a result of this, it created this survival instinct in me to hold on to things, because you never know when you're not going to have any, right? So I am a pack rat. It is ridiculous. I am a pack rat. Like, I hold on to so many things because that survival in me of like being a kid and not having toilet paper was embarrassing, and I never wanted to experience that again, to where I had to ask for something basic, like a basic need, from a neighbor or anyone. So I saved the most ridiculous things. So I had these two things I had to like say to myself, like, you are not in survival mode anymore. So one of the episodes that I have coming up is how to get out of survival mode, but this is going to be a really intense, powerful episode. So I'm just like taking a lot of notes, and I want to really deliver on this one. It's coming up. So if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe so you don't miss that one. But I've had to say to myself, you are not in survival mode anymore. Like, you are living this luxurious, beautiful, abundant life. You don't need to hold on to these things. So I'm going to share with you. This is the embarrassing part. So one of the things that I hold on to is soap. You know, when you use a bar of soap, and I know a lot of people don't use bars of soap, they use like body wash, but for some reason, I have both in my shower. But for some reason, I still like a bar of soap, even though I have body wash. I don't know why, it's just my thing. So, you know when the bar of soap gets like so little, like you could barely use it anymore? I have a little box where I just like a soap box where I just keep all of the like little tiny ones, because I'm like, if I ever don't have soap, I want to have like, you know, the little tiny. It's so hard for me to throw stuff like that away. It's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. And so the other day, I'm like, I have a whole entire drawer of soap. Why am I keeping these little tiny, like barely there soap bars? You know, like I've used it basically down to the pulp, but I'm keeping the pulp. Like, it is ridiculous. So I threw them away. But it's like that inner child in me that like didn't have toilet paper was just like, but what if you need it one day? Oh my God. So I have to laugh at myself because it is ridiculous. But my therapist also says, she's like, there goes that charming laugh. You laugh to avoid the pain, you know, because it was a painful and embarrassing thing to have to ask for toilet paper. Okay. So it gets worse. So the other thing that I found myself keeping, which is even worse than the soap, is eyelashes. So I wear strip eyelashes. I love me some eyelashes. So yeah, I love me some eyelashes. I used to get like the individuals done, but I hated it because like when they start kind of like falling out, they look all janky, and ain't nobody got time for that. So I wear strip lashes, and I reuse them until they start looking a little janky, and then I, you know, use a fresh pair. But I don't throw the janky pair away. I keep them. So, you know, strip lashes come in a little plastic thing where you like peel it off, and so I place them back on the little thing, and I had these like packs and packs and packs of used eyelashes. It is the most ridiculous thing. And so I don't know what I was looking for. Oh, I was doing a photo shoot and I wanted like thicker lashes. So I have like my everyday lashes, and then I have like my photo shoot like va-va-voom lashes, you know? So I was looking for those, and I'm going through like all these like stacks of like used everyday lashes, and I had to, and I have fresh ones. I have packs of fresh lashes. So I had to be like, Niajae, you are not in survival mode. Like, things are not that bad or going to ever be that bad to where you have to reuse these janky lashes. Like, get over this survival shit. Like, you gotta let it go. I literally had to throw away like packs and packs of used lashes. It is ridiculous, but it just goes to show how we have these habits that a lot of times we don't even notice. Like, I didn't even notice that I was like literally hoarding soap and freaking eyelashes. And it's like, it's funny. It is funny. But it's also a little sad how we have these patterns from our childhood that literally could be standing in the way of the abundance that we truly desire, the abundance that we're worthy of, the abundance that we deserve. And so those eyelashes and you know, the soap that's basically down to the pulp, like, that's energy that I was storing. That is survival energy that I was storing that could be blocking abundance from coming into my reality. So it's really powerful to have self-awareness around your patterns, your trauma adaptations, and your programming, and heal that part of you that's like, but no, wait, don't throw it away just in case you ever need it. That's my inner child. That's not my adult self. My adult self is like, girl, you own a business, and you know what I mean? Like, you make money in your sleep, you know? So like, healing your inner child is so powerful, and being self-loyal is so powerful. So understanding your capacity, understanding your needs, understanding your desires, and really setting boundaries around that and being grounded in that is so powerful. And when you start to peel the layers back and see how you've people pleased and how you will do for others more than you'll do for yourself, because you want to hold on to these people because you may be afraid of rejection, you may be afraid of abandonment, you may be afraid of judgment. And so you show up in this way for others, to keep others and to impress others, but it's like, what are you doing to keep yourself? What are you doing to be self-loyal? What are you doing to impress yourself? These are powerful questions to really sit with. And I've been sitting with them because I'm like, I'm seeing my patterns. Like, now that I know, and again, you know, when I set boundaries and I say no to something, or I say, you know, I only have the capacity for this, sometimes I feel bad. Pretty much all the time I feel bad, but I would rather have that uncomfortable conversation and feel bad just for a moment, because 9 times out of 10, the people in your life are going to understand. And the people who didn't understand, they're no longer in my life. So, you know, you have users that will take advantage of you. Bye, you know, peace out. You don't need people like that in your life, period. The people that actually genuinely care about you will understand your capacity. And so being uncomfortable just for a moment, as you say, like, hey, I really love to, but I don't have the capacity to do X, Y, and Z. I'm really slammed, blah, blah, blah. It's better than resentment. It's better than a depleted cup when you overexert or burn yourself out, period. Resentment in our bodies is toxic. And, you know, I work with clearing energy out of people's physical bodies and energetic bodies every day, and so I see it, and no one notices like, oh, I feel resentment. No, it turns into a physical ailment. The physical ailment turns into illness, and then people are sitting there like, why am I sick? Why am I lethargic? Why does this hurt? Why does this ache? Because you have some resentment stored in your body that you haven't looked at, and you keep sweeping it under the rug. So yeah, always choose to have that uncomfortable conversation over being resentful, because resentment in your body is toxic. So being self-loyal, setting healthy boundaries, honoring your needs and desires. Whew. All right, M&Ms, that is my message for you today. Yes, that's my message for you today. I would love to hear your feedback, how this landed with you. I know I went off on a few tangents. So thank you as you listen to my tangents, and let me know if you hoard anything. Where's my hoarders at? I'm like in hoarders, what is it? Anonymous? I'm like gonna be in like Hoarders Anonymous. I am such a hoarder, but I need to, and I mean like 5% hoarder. It's not bad, because I know there's like a show where it gets like deep. It's not that bad. It's really not that bad. So there's like silly things that I hoard, like soap and eyelashes. So tell me the silly things that you hoard. What are the things that you hold on to? Tell me the story so I don't feel alone in this. I'm joking. No, but really do tell me. I don't feel alone. I know people hold on to the most ridiculous things because we have energetic attachments to them, emotional attachments to them, but it's like, are those attachments holding you back from the abundance that you desire. So really paying attention to what you're attached to and how it's weighing you down, and letting those attachments go, letting the trauma adaptations go, letting the negative or toxic patterns go, so you can shift into empowering patterns and empowering situations to be the best version of yourself and live the life that you know that you are capable of. That's what I'm on, okay? Self-loyal and empowered. Yes, I feel like that deserves some snaps. So join me in being self-loyal and empowered, okay? Well, that's my episode for today. And as always, until next time, be decadent. Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.